I was actually really flattered when I was invited. I think just the opportunity to talk about the work that we do, I really appreciate. And part of our work is getting our message out to as many people as possible. And so this is just an extension of that for me.
You handled the marketing for the Cove. How did you approach this? How did you plan for this big marketing strategy?
Well, there are a lot of people involved in it. So I worked on the side of the filmmakers and the producers, and we also had our distributor Roadside and Lionsgate, and then Take Part, which did a lot of the social media outreach as well. So I was more of the kind of central coordinator of all those teams and responsible for the outreach efforts of OPS. And so part of that was kind of traditional social media like Twitter and Facebook, but also our newsletters. And then we also had an awards campaign leading up to the Academy Award. And a lot of it was discussions about messaging, trying to, say, push certain aspects of the film and downplay other ones depending on how the audience was reacting in real time. And also just letting people know how to see the movie. I mean, we did a rollout of about 54 theaters. So part of that is even just letting people know when the film is coming to their town, and then answering the biggest question that we got, which is, I've seen the movie, what can I do to help? That was the number one. I mean, hundreds of emails a day asking that. And part of that is trying to put that information online in a really readily accessible format, but then also engaging people who, some people were just voracious consumers of that information. We'd give them a couple things that they could do, and they say, I want more. And that's what we're trying to do with this next film, is give people tools for various levels of engagement. I mean, maybe there's a person who's never even really engaged in environmental topics, and this is their first step toward that direction. And then there's going to be some people who are, kind of the choir, who already know all this information and still want to do more, and maybe are willing to dedicate their lives to the topics that we're talking about. So I think that's a really important piece of it too, is having a really wide but also in-depth outreach campaign.
Right. In your opinion, are the social media platforms making outreach and advertising, distribution, things like that, is it getting easier now?
I wouldn't say that it's getting easier. It's just another tool. I think it makes it easier to get information out there, but it's not enough to just put it out there. It has to be rich enough that people actually want to hear it and aren't just going to unfollow you 2 days later. It has to be easily digestible. When you think about what's on your Facebook page, it's mostly your friends. You don't want to necessarily feel like you're being sold to. So you want it to be content that people will regularly want to see, and you still have to have a good story and a good film to back it up.
You showed sort of like an extended preview for The Heist. How far along are you guys on that movie?
We are maybe 70 to 80% done with production. We've been doing some kind of rough string outs along the way, just to help us shape our story, but we hope to go into full edit in a couple months and then deliver the film by the end of the year.
Okay. And what exactly is your role? Do you have creative input in here? Are you helping to shape it? What's your role as the producer?
Mm-hmm. So my title is associate producer, but we're a really small, tight-knit team. So everybody's, including my creative input, is heard. And again, because of that team dynamic, sometimes my role will actually turn into different roles. So depending on the shoot, I might take on some responsibilities that are a little bit more like an AD, or sometimes I'll jump in and interview people, and I really appreciate that about the job. It's nice to sort of be involved in every step of the process.
Okay, with the Cove, there was a lot of, let's say, some illegal stuff going on. You guys going into places you're not supposed to be. Were you doing any of that on this film?
On this film?
Yeah.
I can't answer that.
You can't answer that? Okay. But I guess we'll see, right? So with activist filmmaking, what draws you into that? It can be taxing, both physically and emotionally at times, I imagine, and even dangerous. So why is it important to take on these kind of projects?
It's a good question. All those things you said are correct. It is very taxing, physically, emotionally. It is tough to kind of confront these issues all the time, but I feel like in the face of that, I have to do something about it, and that's what gives me hope and keeps me going. It is very easy to get overwhelmed by a lot of these issues, and I feel like personally, if we're going to go down, I want to go down swinging. That's kind of how I think about it. And every now and then it is rewarding. You know, when we do get positive feedback from people in support of the work that we're doing, it sort of is that nice reassurance to keep going. And also the feeling that you're doing something bigger than yourself, I think, is something that's important to a lot of people regardless of their field.
And so with your role as associate producer now, what do you see as the next step in your career? What kind of position do you want to have in the future?
I want to keep producing.
Okay.
I really like how, as a producer, you're involved in every step of the process of a film, from development to production to the distribution of it, because I love different pieces of it, and I think it also means that no 2 days are the same. And working on documentaries, especially on this level, is something that I would love to continue doing. Eventually, I could see myself opening up my own company or even directing my own project. The thing that's nice about where I am right now is that I am working with a team of other people who we're all learning together, but I'm also learning from them too, because they do have experience that I don't yet have. But in terms of kind of leading the charge, I'd love to go in that direction.
Right. And do you see yourself speaking out a bit more, such as what your presentation was like today? Do you see yourself doing that sort of vocal outreach? In the future?
I did quite a bit of it on the Cove. I've done
Okay.
various Q&As and spoken with groups of different sizes, and I think it's just an important piece. I see it as a necessity, and if I can do that, we need as many people doing it as possible, so I'm happy to help in that regard. And I think when you care deeply about something and you feel like the world isn't listening, of course you want to get up and speak, and having a film to back up what you're saying is a really nice way to do it.